Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City podcast. Again, it's a post-game edition. Chargers lose. They lose to the Denver Broncos. Very frustrating that the Chargers were swept by the Broncos this season. 16-9. They fall to 5-11 on the season. Obviously, Mario, we're missing somebody today. Josh isn't here. Josh said he was going to make it and had questions because he's in the desert. So anyone who's in California knows that, hey, this is the week, like it is for everyone else across the country, where you try and get out and do as many things as you can for about a week. And so first time in his life he's ever gone with the doom buggies and done the whole deal. So there he is. So he's in the desert, couldn't make it back and get a solid signal for this game. So at the same time, it's you and me, New Year's Eve, and probably won't go full 45 minutes. Probably going to cut a little short because Mario's 2 hours ahead of where I am. Game just ended, and guess what? He's a young guy and he has stuff to do in the city of Chicago. So it should be a good time for you, man. It has to be better than the season we've gone with. I'm looking forward to 2024 Chargers with much better memories.
Yeah, I'm already on let's go and fast forward to next season. I like this didn't happen. You know, it's like when you wake up after New Year's and you're like, hey, I don't want to remember what I did last night. So I'm just gonna keep pushing through like nothing happened. Yeah, we have no Josh, which kind of sucks for us because I think people probably like him the most. So there's definitely people that are gonna tune in, see us two, and dip out. And to those people, Happy New Year. And then also, Dave, I had a little bit of a situation right after this game ended. I realized that the button-down shirt I was gonna wear tonight has a stain on it, like right over. Yeah, tough. Who's a tough pivot, dude? I only got one of them, so that's where we're at.
All right, so I know we're gonna get in charge of football in a second, but this is exciting. If you followed the show, you know that Mario made the move from Indiana to Chicago. And if you saw the Bears today, you realize it is snowing like crazy in Chicago today. So when you're wearing a sweater right now, it seems like the move is to go out and wear a sweater. Like forget the button-down shirt.
I think this is nice enough for it. So this is the backup. Yeah. So I think it's nice enough for it. But no, the goal is to maybe you go streaking in the snow. You know, that was a good thing we did in college. That was the first snow you go streaking. So maybe that's what it is in Chicago.
If it makes you feel any better, man, I'm just wearing a sweatshirt and shorts, man. It's not like it's real warm in Southern California, but it's warm enough to wear shorts. So
I'll take it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So again, it's always an interesting time of the year. Josh is headed to the Alabama-Michigan game tomorrow. I told him because he's never been in the Rose Bowl for a game like this, where I said, "Hey, man, just so you know, when that sun goes down, it's going to get cold. Make sure you're dressed warm enough. It's going to look really nice at 2:00 Pacific time, but by the time that game ends, it's going to be freezing at the Rose Bowl." So here we go. Chargers lose. We'll just jump right into this game. And Mario, I don't want to say it was the worst game of the entire season, but at the same time, if football's supposed to be entertaining, it was the worst game in the entire season. It was terrible. You sent me a text during the game, like, "Oh my gosh, what are we doing? Like, when's this game going to be over?" And you know, you always hear the saying of certain quarterbacks when you don't want to give them credit is that guy's a game manager. Like Easton Stick's like the guy, "Hey, we want you to work tonight. Just don't get the place robbed," you know? And that was that was kind of it. Like there's just nothing there. I mean, I understand he didn't have Keenan Allen, but man, there's just nothing there. And you can see why he's a backup. Like just hold the fort down. Don't throw interceptions. Don't fumble the ball. But man, it was so damn boring. If every NFL game was like the one we saw today, we wouldn't watch the NFL. It was awful. It was just two bad teams, two backup quarterbacks, and I'm sitting there listening to James Lofton, who lives in San Diego, and I'm going, James Lofton's bored out of his mind right now too, calling this game, you know? And so it was one of those where you just go about your business. Now I will say this, you tell me if I'm wrong. For me, I love guys at this point of the season and this point of their careers where it doesn't matter what our record is. It doesn't matter that we're on a postseason team. It doesn't matter what my contract is. Man, I'm dressed. I'm going to do everything I can to play the best football of my life. And you saw it from Khalil Mack again. And so yeah, I can't tell you what a big fan I am. I was always a huge fan of his, but I thought that he hit the ceiling as far as his career went, and we're just like kind of playing things out. But man, for what he's done for this team this year, he's by far your team MVP. You know, and I think anyone who is an owner who pays guys to actually put that uniform on, and fans who sit there and say, "Man, I follow this team. It doesn't matter what the record is. I'm going to show up every single Sunday and watch this team." Khalil Mack has to be your favorite Charger of the year. It's not even close.
No, it's not even close. 5 tackles today, a sack, 2 assists on the tackles. Look, I'm with you too. I really thought that at least when Keenan Allen went out, I was expecting a report after he walks in, "Hey, my knee's sore. You're done." Like, I was expecting something like that, right? Like just
Yeah,
check out. Look, you're good. Save yourself for whatever you're gonna do next year, right? Whether it's with the Chargers or with the team that's going on Super Bowl little run here. Like, that's why I thought of him. But no, he is obviously like sticking through it, and he's still playing to the best of his abilities, and he's still balling over 100 career sacks for Khalil Mack that he got today. And I think it's good for a guy like Tui to see. Like, I think this is
yeah,
perfect for Tui to go, "Hey, this is a professional. This is what a professional does. This is how he acts, and this is what he does day to day." And I think I love that for Tui for his development. That's why I kind of hope that, Fernando mentioned this. That's why I kind of hope Max stays around next year for that mentorship that Tui will get from him. And I think it's good to see because we kind of give Joey Bosa a lot of crap and everything like that. But you said Herbert was there today and
yep.
Bosa, and so I think that little
No, no,
extra
Bosa was
mental.
there.
Oh, he was there?
Bosa was there. I saw him walking the sideline, shocked. When I saw
Oh,
Bosa, I
wow.
almost took a picture of my phone and sent it to you because you're probably doing what I'm doing. You're putting your head down and you're taking notes. But I did see Bosa there. I was shocked.
Okay, I didn't see him, and you can't
Yeah,
miss his nose. That's very
yeah,
surprising.
yeah. No, no, that's what I saw first.
Yeah, yeah. America saw it first. But no, I mean, it's good that he's getting that. The other thing I want to ask you too, Dave, is is Ekeler just done forever? Like, is he just done?
Yeah, yeah, and that was kind of my point. I know people said, "Oh, you guys are too tough on Austin." Look, when Austin was doing great things, man, we all loved him. And it's not like he's a bad dude. I'm not once saying that. I'm saying there's a reason why the running backs' lives are what they are and why they get paid what they are. The end of their career happens so fast. Even the guys you see, like I follow a bunch of NFL guys on Instagram, and I'm always curious how they train. And Derrick Henry, nobody works out like Derrick Henry does in the offseason. Well, even Derrick Henry's at the end. You can see it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's at the end. The Titans see it. He knows it too. He's made comments. It's probably my last year with Tennessee. He'll end up somewhere else as a guy that in a goal line situation type guy. But with Austin Ekeler, he's a guy that really came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who Austin Ekeler was coming out of college. All of a sudden, Melvin Gordon's out the door because Eckler's doing so well. And last year was the best we'd see of him. It's unfortunate that he started screaming and complaining, and the Chargers gave him $1.5 million extra on top of his contract to stay quiet, which he didn't. And he got everybody riled up. And you sit there and go, okay, we've seen you all year. Today, only one reception. Today, he fumbled in a crucial situation, and which turned into 3 points for the Broncos. And you go, man, it's just what it's been all year. There's been nothing there. Now, Eckler might sit there and be the last to know that his career is over, Mario, and blame it all
Yeah.
on Kellen Moore's offense. But at the same time, he's not him. And so what will happen will be next year he'll be on a new team, and he's going to be a shadow of himself of what we remember of Austin Eckler, and he will be out of the league in 2 years. He won't be playing in 2025 is my guess. And it's just what it is. It's not his fault. It's just the NFL body. It's just what happens, especially at that position. And I'm sorry he never made the money that he thought he was going to make, but he made a lot more money than you and I will make combined for our entire lifetime. And that's it. It's tough to say at 29 years old, what do I do with the rest of my life? You know what? You'll figure it out. Everyone else does. It's the gamble you take when you sign up for this profession. And that's where he's at. He's had a better career than most.
He has, and he's a smart guy. Like we saw him in the offseason. He does media all the time. He always has some
Yeah.
separate business. He's like streaming on Twitch. Like he's a smart guy. He's got it figured out. And like to be honest with you, you mentioned it. Like we kind of saw this regression coming. Like he goes 2 back-to-back years of 16 games, 17 games played, and a lot. I mean, taking a lot of damage, a lot of miles, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys out in the Chargers, and he was the one carrying the load. And that regression was coming. Something was going to come, and it was this year, and this is what it's turned into. And he's 28 years old. 30's coming quick on him. And now it's like the Chargers honestly did a good move by not paying him, not giving him a
Yeah.
3-year extension, by just giving him 1 year and go, all right, we'll see what happens. Smart move by the Chargers. He's obviously not performing. Do I think he's done? No, I think he can go to another team and be a servable second string running back, but his first string days are over. And just statistically, like you look at it, past 2 seasons, 2021, 12 touchdowns. 2022, 13 touchdowns. This year, 5 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. 2022 rushing yards, 911. 2022 rushing yards, 915. This year, 511. Yards per attempt, 4.4 in 2021, 4.5 in 2022, 2023, 3.7. The regression is so there. And you can see it. They even mentioned it in the game. Like the commentators are like, he just can't get that second step of burst.
Yeah.
He can't break a tackle. And it's, it's hard to see. It's tough to watch. Like there's nothing worse than watching one of your favorite players in your favorite team going, God, he does not have it anymore. And you can tell. And like, God, he does not have it. And you see it in his face on the sidelines. He doesn't have it. Now, I will say this, though. He might be a little bit slower, might get a little grayer. He already lost his hair, so it doesn't worry about that. But let's hold on to the football. Like, let's just, basics, brother. Let's just hold on to the football. That could be done, but it's sad to see that. But yeah, Dave, I wanted to stab myself in the eye watching this game.
Yeah. I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
So when you look at one thing I'll touch on too, Austin Ekeler might blame it all on the offensive line. Again, the guy whose career all of a sudden has changed dramatically, is the last guy to know and the last guy to point the finger at himself. He's definitely not going home saying it's me. He's saying it has to be someone else. I feel the same. Why isn't it working anymore? I'm curious to know where he ends up. As you said, someone's going to give him a chance to hopefully bring something to the team that they need, and it's funny. I was just thinking about different guys in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott, man, the door hit him in the face really fast, right? And even Josh Jacobs kind of played this card this year. And Josh Jacobs isn't as old. I think Josh Jacobs is maybe a little bit more than 25 years old, maybe. But the guy who had a resurgence today in the NFL was Najee Harris. I don't know if you're watching Seattle and Pittsburgh. Najee had like his best game. Yet I think you can look at him and go, Pittsburgh's offensive line does stink. It's a really bad offensive line and wonder, where these guys will be. Eckler's one of those guys, like, wouldn't it surprise you to see the Denver Broncos give him a chance, which would be frustrating. Like, because we've seen it before. We've seen former Chargers end up on the Broncos. You don't want to see whoever it is end up in that division. So the way it goes today, we all knew the Chargers weren't going to make the playoffs. I will say this as a football fan, and I'm sure you're in the same boat as me, and so many people are listening thinking the same thing. It is no fun to be at this point in the season when your team is out of it, right? I mean, there's nothing better than looking at the possible playoff matches and going, who are we going to play? And the best is if you win your division, you get to host a playoff game. But to sit there and go, who are we going to play? And it's extremely frustrating to know it's been over, and it's been over for a while. 5-11, Mario, I 100% did not see happening. Like, I would have bet my house if you would have told me this team would be 5-11 with one game to go. There's no way that this team, and then you go, are we that crazy that maybe there's just not as much talent on this team as what we thought? And how big are the holes to fix? Because in the NFL, you can fix things quickly if you have a franchise quarterback, and we all agree we have one in Justin Herbert. How big are the holes to fix this? Because we've already started draft talk on this show, and we're looking at guys who can catch the ball, but man, you need help on the line, on both lines. You need help in the defensive backfield. Now you need a new running back. You kind of wonder, what are the Chargers going to do to fix this in a hurry? Because as the fan base goes, hey, you have a franchise quarterback. How many years of Justin Herbert's career can you waste? And that's what it feels like that they're doing right now.
It does. And, we mentioned this before, but it sucks that the Chargers really missed out on this rookie contract Herbert window where you got franchise QB, cheap contract, you can really build around him, and they just completely swung and missed on this window. And you're right. It stinks when you sit here and you're at the end of the year and you're not talking about playoffs, you're talking about the draft. And you're like getting excited for the draft. Like that's what you have to get excited for. And you talk a big game about the draft. You're like the guy or gal that goes out to the bar and, all your friends going with someone and you don't, but you wake up the next morning and go, God, so many people were looking at me. You're like, all right, sure. Okay, next time. That's like the equivalent of what this is right now that we're doing. But yeah, it's tough. And, I really didn't see this coming either of the Chargers. Like, if you would have told me that J.C. Jackson just would not be a Charger midway through the year and barely was even a Patriot right now, I wouldn't believe you. If you would have told me Derwin James would be half of himself, I wouldn't believe you. By the way, finally he shows up and decides to make some big hits and play some energy.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had a good game. Eric Kendricks had a great game.
Yeah. Did they just finally go, hey, man, we should probably week 17, we got to do something.
Let's turn it on.
Yeah, let's turn it on. So they decided to do that. Yeah. Get my pre-workout. I'm gonna play today. All right. No, but it's a frustrating thing, and it's crazy to be here like at this moment, and you're sitting here going, does it make sense to even like beat the like what's next week gonna look like? Because the Chiefs just won this division. Do they really
Yeah,
need anything for the playoffs right now? So it's just what's that gonna look like? Is it even gonna be fun to watch that game next week? And then now you're just like, all right, the season's pretty much over. I do want to circle back though to the Ekeler thing that I said, like going to Denver. That really does make sense to me because maybe that Lombardi connection kind of comes back and they go, oh, like my 2 good years, really good years, were with Lombardi. I'm gonna go back there and maybe the connection can start up again. But no,
yeah.
the Chargers kind of sit here and, a lot of stuff happened today for the draft. The Bears lock up the first overall pick and Chargers kind of get to know who's going to go overall. And I got to say, Dave, I really am starting to think that that number 1 pick is going to get traded again.
I agree with you. I think the Bears are going to trade that pick because what we're hearing all the way in California is that they're going to keep Fields. That all of a
Yeah.
sudden that they're keeping Fields, and that means someone else is going to trade up for Caleb Williams. And what does that mean? And that's fine if it's a quarterback. The Chargers aren't going for a quarterback. Last thing you want if you're a Charger fan is for the Bears to keep that pick. And for people who don't understand, the Bears' number 1 pick is the Panthers' pick, basically. So when you go Field stays, but a quarterback is going to be taken if they trade out of that. Again, how many players drop to where the Chargers can pick the best of players that aren't quarterbacks? And you're picking really high. I mean, you almost have your choice of anybody out there, and that's fantastic. I know a lot of people are saying Marvin Harrison Jr. We've had some people who have written on YouTube saying you don't want him. You live in Big Ten country. From everything I see, he's a guy that I definitely do want. But if he's available, it's really hard to pass him up, especially when you look at, played at a big time school, played against big time teams. His dad's a Hall of Famer. All the stuff that goes with it. You go, he has everything that seems like he would be a great pro. And unfortunately, you have to make up for last year's pick in Quentin Johnson and get a wide receiver. So it will be interesting to see what they do. I find it fascinating with the Bears and Fields. And to be honest with you, Mario, I don't blame the Chicago Bears for saying Fields is our guy. It's too soon to give up on a kid that might go somewhere else because he shows glimpses of he might be great. And what if he's great somewhere else? Then as an organization, you're just even more of a laughing stock than what you've been for the last few years. You got to kind of ride this one out. There'll be another quarterback down the line if Fields isn't the guy.
It's so tough. Like, I can't tell you the amount of mental torture I get too of going, he just spun out of a sack. He just ran for 15 yards
Yeah.
downfield. He's it. He's the guy. And then I just think back to turning every NFL analyst on and them going, well, Caleb Williams, he's the closest thing to Mahomes. And you hear that and you go, if too many people, like, it's one thing if one guy says it and you're like, all right, maybe this is just one guy that's going for the take. And you're like, all
Yeah.
right, you guys, it's a dry day in the news. So you need something to spice it up. But when multiple guys say, you kind of get nervous. Fields has really put it together these past couple of weeks. Ever since he's came back, like, he's kind of really showed who he is as a player. I will say this though, Dave. I was watching this Bears game, and it did seem a little too much of a goodbye, we'll see you later game. Like, it seemed way too, thank you for everything. Let's put him on the shoulders, like Rudy him all the way into the locker room. Like, it seemed way too much like that. Like,
Really?
way too much. Yes. And that is my worry. And that's something, like, I was waiting to see if anyone else caught on to that. Like, walking away from the game, I was just sitting there. I was like, why does this feel like everyone's saying goodbye? Like, even if it seemed like Fields was saying goodbye, like, it
Wow.
just seemed like the divorce was already coming and, like, the parents were just kissing each other for the last time. And then the mom's out the door, the dad's out the door, and we're doing something. So, like, that's the thing that made me feel weird about that game. As I watched that, I go, it feels like the divorce is inbound and someone's gone. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm also just curious to see. But look, right now the Chargers sit, I believe, at the 6th pick in the draft. They have the Giants that are right above them at 5. Trying to see really quickly who the Giants play next week, if they can possibly move up in that. Giants almost literally really help the Chargers. I mean, they have the Eagles next week, so the Eagles have to win. It's a must win for the Eagles. So they'll probably lose that game. So Chargers are pretty much stuck at 6 right now in that spot. And like you said, probably as of now, 3 out of the 5 need QBs. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Does Marvin Harrison Jr. fall to him? Maybe. I
Yeah.
saw a good tweet today. If the Bears do pick a wide receiver, you know who the last receiver number 1 was?
No, tell me.
Keyshawn Johnson,
Oh, you mean
Jets.
number one overall? Number one
Yeah, number
overall.
1 overall.
Okay. Yeah.
And that didn't really work out the best.
No, it didn't. It didn't. Yeah.
It's a
That's
little
funny. You
interesting.
ever you ever go this happened to me this week. You ever go through your phone and you're like, hey, I don't remember even talking to that guy. How's his number in my phone? I did
Yes.
it this week. Yeah. I did it this
Oh,
week with Keyshawn
yes.
Johnson's numbers in my phone. I was like, man, I didn't know I had Keyshawn on the show. Like I had to think in my mind, when did I talk to Keyshawn? But it was funny that his number just popped up in my phone when I was looking for somebody else, and then it made me laugh that you just said his name. Yeah.
That's so funny. One, very good flex that you have that guy's number. Let's call him up sometime randomly on the Let's call him
I
up then
got a
when we do our
bunch of them.
draft show. Yeah.
I got a bunch of them. Want me to tell you the best number I have on my phone?
Yes.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Really?
Yeah, is that funny? That's my best
That's
number.
sick.
And he didn't give it to me. There's a girl
Okay.
that worked for me, and I had her do like the things. Hey, this is Shaquille O'Neal. When I'm in San Diego, I listen to Dave, the whole deal.
Mhm.
And she was a good looking girl, and he wanted her phone number, and she froze and gave him my number. So he's calling my number in the middle of the night all the time. And my wife's like, "Who's calling in the middle of the night?" I'm like, "It's Shaq," you know. And
Yeah.
so I told her I covered the Lakers for 10 years, and I never answered the phone. And he comes up to me, man, like a week later, and I mean, I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3". Shaq comes up behind me, puts his entire hand around my neck, like no joke, touching finger to thumb. And I have I mean, I don't know. I think I'm a big dude. My neck is 18 around. Dude,
Yeah.
he pulls his entire hand around my neck, and he goes, "Hey, brother, what happened to that girl you were with the other night? I've been calling her. She's not answering." And so, I still have his number in my phone, but it's funny. Shaq was calling all the time in the middle of
That's
the night.
amazing. I'm
Yeah.
surprised. I would have answered at least one time.
Oh my,
Like,
what am I gonna
"Hey."
say?
I just, you know,
I
improvise.
don't want to do that. I don't want to pull that move. Yeah, make him angrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaq is gigantic, man. I mean, I know everyone realize how big he is, but you do not realize how big that dude is. I remember
Oh, yeah.
he had a baby, and he comes walking in and to show everyone his daughter. Dude, in one palm, he just has that baby. He's holding it like you're holding, your earpods case. And I'm like, God dang, this guy is gigantic. Freaking nuts. Anyway, jumped right off the story there. So Keyshawn was the number one overall wide receiver, the last one. That was a long, long time ago. That's
Mhm.
interesting. I remember, again, I know you're young, you might have missed it, but Matt Millen, when he was GM of the Lions, 4 years in a row, he drafted wide receivers and they all bombed. You remember he couldn't
Oh,
get one.
yes. I
He's
actually do
drafting like
remember that,
Carlos
yeah.
Rogers. He's drafting all these
Yeah.
guys number one and just right in the toilet, which is funny because Matt Millen was, one of the best linebackers ever. And you think he'd grab a defensive player. He kept drafting wide receivers every year in the first round, right at the top, and they all sucked. They all sucked
Yeah.
until he's out of a job.
That's like
It's
that's a gambler keep throwing on a parlay. Sorry, keep going.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep chasing. Yeah, you keep you keep chasing. So next week's game against the Chiefs. Do you think the Chiefs pull back, or do you think the Chiefs go, "Hey, look, we have to have momentum. Like we have not figured it out. Even against the Bengals today, the Chiefs were in a situation where it's Browning. I mean, it's not Burrow playing against you, and yet you struggled most of that game until the end of the game. So do you think Andy Reid says we're fine? We know what to do when the playoffs come. Let's just be healthy, or do you think the Chiefs go about it of, hey, we want to be in our rhythm as we hit the postseason?
I think it's a little bit of rhythm thing and a bit of confidence. Like I would go in this game going, how can I get every guy's confidence up? Because you need that to go into the playoffs, right? Like you need that we feel like we can take anyone on. I don't think they feel that right now.
Yeah,
Like the past games don't look like it. Kelsey's been a shell of himself. That offense, no one can catch the freaking football. So I would go into that game if I'm the Chiefs and go, we're gonna smack them in the mouth in the first half, then all you're gonna sit in the second. Because I just
yeah,
want to get everyone's confidence up. I want it to be almost a party at halftime. Like I want everyone to be head held high, going, this is what we are. So I think that game is going to be first half. Let's do anything we can to look as great as we can. Also put a little fear in everyone, right?
yeah.
Like you do that, that so many people don't go, I don't want to play the Bills or I play the Chiefs too. God, I don't want to play the Chiefs. So I think that's the route they got to go. Because look, your home field's gone. Kiss it goodbye. See you
Yeah.
later. The home field's gone. You're not going to get that. You're gonna have to try to win on the road. And if I'm them, like I said, you try to build confidence because Dave, like the Ravens have all the confidence in the world right now, and holy hell, do they freaking look good. So I
Yeah.
think that strategy. If I am the Chiefs, like, do you think they just kind of lay it back? Do you think Andy Reid comes in with a bunch of donuts and just relaxes and eats them?
I'm not a fan of like half-assing it into the playoffs. Now I
Okay.
understand injuries happen. You can't take a chance of injuring somebody, but man, Kelsey's been a shadow of himself. Looks old all of a sudden. Remember we spoke about this as far as saying if you're talking about retirement, you already retired.
Yeah.
The Chiefs don't look good. I mean, the offense is supposed to be the strength. Mahomes hasn't had the year that I'm sure he thought he was going to have. And anyone who drafted him fantasy football will tell you the same thing, how frustrating that part's been. But the Chiefs don't look like that team that's really serious about making a run at a Super Bowl. If I was Andy Reid, I would say, man, we're going to go into Los Angeles against the Chargers and we're going to have our best game of the year. And we're going to use that momentum into having another great game. So you get to host at least one playoff game because you won the division, and then everything else is on the road, which Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game in his career, which is pretty amazing. So all of a sudden he's on the road. What you said about the Ravens, and I know we'll get into this more on Tuesday and Thursday, but the Ravens are so much better than even I anticipated. I gave you a hard time the whole year just because you always win against the Ravens, but it started as a joke has turned into, oh my gosh, the Ravens look unbeatable. They look really, really good, and it doesn't matter. I think as far as individual stats, even though Lamar Jackson I think had 5 touchdowns today, whoever gets the job done gets the job done. The Ravens have really been impressive, especially what you saw them do against San Francisco last week, and then of course what they did with Miami today. That Ravens team is pretty scary. It's overall, man, I'm excited about playoff football. I'm really bummed out the Chargers aren't in it. Playing games out, playing out your schedule sucks. It's frustrating too. I mean, I want the Chargers to knock off the Chiefs because if the season ends and they lose to Kansas City, that's one win inside your division the whole year. I mean, the
Mhm.
one time against the Raiders, and that was it. You got swept by the Broncos. You get, possibly swept by the Chiefs, and you just go, "What the hell? How did this go from bad to worse? That you have nothing to hang your hat on." Very, very frustrating, and I would like to see them in the season with a win. I say that now. As soon as the game's over, I'm going to go, man, I wish they would have lost so they could get a chance of being in that draft position. But it's so bad, man. Everything's just terrible right now for the Chargers.
Yeah, it's a tough watch. I just ask that. Look, you're not going to win, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. Make it fun. Bad.
Yeah,
16-9 is not fun. This is just like that's literally the ultimate sign of the guy. This is depressing. We even had Cameron Dicker missing field goal today. Like that was the thing we could hang our hat on, and then the hook broke. And then
yeah,
it's just like, what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like that was the only thing we had, and
right.
that was just taken away once again. And I would love it they played spoiler, I guess, in a way, and go, yeah, let's just stick it to the Chiefs and pull away because one AFC West win is bad. That
Yeah,
is terrible. And that's something that if you're John Spanos, you better make sure that's bulletin board material for next year because that is embarrassing. A team that was in this all-in window, this all-in moment, and you come with one divisional win.
yep,
That's embarrassing. And double-digit losses on the year, pal. That's what you
yeah,
have. Go ahead, put that on your resume. I guarantee that would not get you a job even at Walmart. So it's a tough spot. And quickly, just about the Ravens, I think the thing that makes them very dangerous is, like you said, um, Lamar had 5 touchdown passes today on 21 attempts, and he threw for over 300 yards. That is insane.
yeah,
And I think the thing that's special about this team is that there's not just one guy that dominates. There's multiple guys that can dominate at any given time, and that's how they're successful. Like if you look at Lamar overall, I said it like last show, like statistically, he's not really dominant in a lot of QB stats, but they win because at any game, at any point in time, some guy will go, okay, this is the game I can step up and help out. This is a game that I can go explode for this amount of yards. I can get this touchdown. I can get this takeaway. I can get the sack. And that's what makes him really important. And that's what makes him really dangerous. And they're hot at the most perfect time. And they have a Super Bowl winning head coach, Harbaugh, who's going to really stay on them. And if I'm any team, the last thing you want to do is go to Baltimore and play. That's a scary, scary place to play, and they will rock you at their stadium. So
yeah.
at least that will be fun to watch, I guess. But like you said, like last year when the Chargers were in the playoffs, it was so fun. Like you were just like, God, they're in. And then you jinxed them when they were up at halftime and then they lost.
I did. That was
You
me.
did jinx them.
When
Yeah,
I
that
sent
was
a
one of you.
text to you saying we're going to the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
did.
And you said Herbert MVP.
Yeah.
So it's 2 jinxes.
I'm not very good at this job. Yes, it's true. It's
Oh,
true.
can I say this, by the way?
Say whatever you want.
So right before we started the show, my mom texted me, shout out Mama Heron, and she
Nice.
said, "Chargers lost again, question mark. Dave's about to be really mad," with 2 exclamation points. And I'm gonna say back to her, yes, Dave's really mad. He hit Josh on the way in. Yeah.
I'm more sad than mad. That's where I'm at. I'm
Yeah.
more my emotions have gone from being because I've done a million of these shows where I'm super angry, like I'm screaming. I tell you, almost cuss. Now I'm just kind of sad, just kind of disappointed and sad where it's at. Do you have as we head into New Year's? Do you have a good New Year's Eve story? Do you have a story that you think of like my best New Year's ever? New Year's Eve
Oh
story?
God. Good question. I have a couple inappropriate ones. I don't know if that can go over air, but wow, that's a really, really good question. I don't know if I have any on a lot that could be told off air,
Yeah.
definitely. But like I'm trying to think of good on air ones. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I can tell that one. I guess the first time I ever, yeah, I can't tell that one. That's gonna so you know what? I guess the one time when I was a little kid, because when I was a little kid, we always went. I don't know whose house we went to, but we always went to someone's house.
It was always a good
And
time.
yeah, it was always a good time. And my siblings were all like teenagers, and I was like 6-year-old kid. And I think Soldier Boy just came out with the dancing
Nice.
song. I think I did that dance for like 6 hours straight.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was cool. That's
Very
about the
good.
other thing
When
I
Josh
got. What do
gets
you?
married, dude, you got to do it at his wedding. If you remember it, you got to do it.
I do remember it. I'll do it.
All
Yeah, I'll
right.
do it as Wayne.
All right.
What
We'll get
about
some
you?
drinks
You
in you.
definitely
We'll
have
do it.
something.
You know what's man? I have a few of them. It's funny. The older you get, man, some of them turned kind of into sad stories. I don't want to end it on a sad note, but I'll tell you two stories. I'll tell you a good one. I'll tell you one that was kind of interesting. Just because I
Okay.
was thinking about it all day long. But the one that cracks me up, I was in high school. I think I was a junior in high school, and I was at a party, and where it was just as you said, it was a ton of people, and everybody fell asleep except for me and this girl. Okay. And we're
Okay.
just all night long. And it's dark, man. You can't see a damn thing. I mean, it is dark. All you can see is the street light is on, and you could kind of see a silhouette. Nothing as far as detail goes. And I'm talking to this girl, and she's telling me she's a model.
Oh my
And
goodness.
we're talking for it felt like 20 hours, but obviously it wasn't.
Yeah.
And, man, as we're talking, and I'm looking at her from about 5 feet away, the sun starts to come up, okay? And dude, she wasn't that good looking. And man, I think I might have just been so tired that it just out of my mouth, my inner monologue just wasn't there. And I straight out told her, "Boy, you looked a lot better in the dark." That's
Oh.
the way that's the way it ended. And I felt terrible saying it. I still feel bad today I said it, but she
Oh my
man, her feelings got
god.
hurt, she started crying. I had no idea what to say because it just, like, came out of my
You can't
mouth.
recover.
Oh, I couldn't recover. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, was I talking to somebody else? Nope. Like, it was, what am I gonna do? I had no recovery. I had no fallback, but I was like, I meant what I said. I just didn't mean to say it to her. That was
Yeah.
my inner monologue. I just had been up for like over 24 hours, and I told a girl she looked much better in the dark because when that sun started rising, not that good looking. But she kept telling me she was a model for the last 8 hours. Thought she had to be good looking, right? Not no, no.
Oh, what are you gonna do?
That's it, man. All right, so here you go. 6 years ago
Okay.
today, I'm covering the Chargers Raiders game, and a buddy of mine, he was a local TV guy for years, and big time Raider fan. And a buddy of mine was taking him to the game. He has season tickets, and he says, "Hey, man, I'm gonna take you up to the game." And he goes, "Well, when I get there, I goes, want to catch up with Dave." And so he called me and he says, "Hey, I'm going to the game. Make sure that you come see me." I know where the guy's seats are. I'm like, dude, I'm not leaving the press box and walking around the stadium. I mean, it was before they played in SoFi, so it was in LA. It was that big soccer stadium, but it wasn't that big. But I was like, I don't want to spend 20 minutes walking to find this guy. Like, I'm gonna see you later on. The guy lives in my neighborhood. Like, I'll see you down
Yeah.
the road. But man, he kept calling me, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem like him. And I said, all right, I'm gonna go see him. And I go see him, and man, he gave me a big giant hug, and he's talking to me. And then as we're talking, and the Raiders take the field, and he's watching them warm up, and he's looking at them and taking it all in. Like he looked like a kid seeing his very first NFL game. And so for people who listen who are San Diego fans, I'll even say his name. It was CS Keys, and CS Keys was on a bunch of a couple different TV stations, but he's very well liked in San Diego and had been here for over 20 years. And we're talking, and as I'm talking, he's really not making eye contact with me, but he's just looking at the Raiders, and to the point you could see how happy he was to be there. And when it was over, we were done talking, and the game's going to start. He gives me this big hug, and boom, game's over. I drive home. He drives home with my buddy. And then, dude, he died just shortly after. I mean, like shortly right afterwards. And it was almost like he knew this was the last time he was going to see his team.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I was thinking about him all day today because how much the Raiders meant to him. It was a Raider Charger game. And it was like he kind of felt like he knew that, hey, the end of his life was coming. A young guy, wasn't an old guy, just died in his sleep. And
Yeah.
it was extremely sad. But I was thinking it was 6 years ago today, thinking about it. New Year's Eve game, you know.
Oh, hey, rest
And
in
then
peace.
so yeah, good dude. And again, anyone who's listening who's followed the Chargers or San Diego for a long time, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But really good dude, and it was just really sad thinking he was too young to pass that soon. I was glad he had a chance to see his Raiders one more time. But I don't know. It's not a funny story, but it's, as I said, it's a sad story. But I always think about him whenever there's an NFL game on New Year's Eve. Did so yeah, your story, you're too young, man. They're all probably not right for broadcast.
There's one. I'll tell one that's I think I
Yeah.
was 16 or 17. I was in high school, and it was a classic. All my buddies were going to someone's house, and they were gonna have a party or whatever. And sorry, music just started playing out of nowhere in my headphones, and I started freaking
Okay.
out. I don't know what that was.
We didn't hear it.
Okay, good. All right, but yeah, so we were I stopped at my girlfriend's place, and I was like, "Oh, like let's go to whatever." And I can't for the life of me, I don't know what we fought over. But she's like, "I don't want to go. I don't want to go." And I was like, "So we're just gonna hang out here?" Like I was like so upset. I was like, "I really want to go." And I was like, "Come on!" And like it was a big fight, whatever. So I was like, "Fine, like I guess we'll stay here." So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, God, I feel like the biggest. Like my friends are texting me, like, "Hey, when are you coming?" I'm like, maybe soon. I don't know. Like I'm like, trying to fight to like go or
Yeah.
anything. And then I get just one text saying SOS. And I was like, they're probably just messing with me. I'm just gonna ignore it. And then I get like another one saying in a group chat, like, who made it out? And and then I go, oh, that didn't go too well. Turns out the house party, let's just say, we weren't really old enough for certain things, and that was going on. And then,
Yeah.
the good old law enforcement found out about it of Indianapolis, and they got there quick. So at that moment, it was the first time I've ever said I love you to a girl. I literally looked at her as I see I'm gonna text all my friends getting in trouble, going, "Hey, just want to let you know I love you." Like I was like, "This is great." I was like, "Happy New Year, guys."
There you go. Did anyone have to get bailed out? They have to call their folks and get bailed out?
Oh, it was a row. I mean, it was a row. I mean, the day after Christmas break, I was just like people lined up in front of the athletic office, all going in and
Yeah.
going, "Hey, Mister, whatever, I got in trouble, and I'm on the football team." Like it was just all that. I'm just walking by, I was just smiling ear to ear, just going, "This is why you have a girlfriend. This is why you do it. This is why you do it, just for stuff like that." So yeah, shout out to her. Hope she's doing well. She saved me on that one.
That is it. All right. I know you got a party to go to tonight. We're going to cut it probably about 5 minutes short right here. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll talk more Charger football with you. We're also going to break down this playoff picture a little bit deeper. I'm dying to talk to you guys about what happened in that Cowboys-Lions game. It's the same crew that messed up the Packers-Chiefs game. And to the point where people are going, what the hell's going on with the NFL? Because the last thing you ever want to be accused, if you're the NFL or any professional sport, of it being rigged. Because we've seen guys who've been caught before in the NBA who did rig the sport. And so we'll get into all that stuff and why this is bad for the NFL. And of course, the Dallas Cowboys, people assume good things happen to them all the time anyway. We'll talk about that on Tuesday as well. But of course, man, I hope you have a great New Year's Eve. Everyone out there, wish you guys nothing but the best in 2024. And we're hopefully next year at this time when we're talking Charger football, we're talking about the team going to the playoffs. We're in a situation where they lose like they did today. Again, final score 16-9. They lose to the Denver Broncos. They get swept, fall to 5-11. We'll talk about some bright spot things coming up on Tuesday. Josh will be back on Tuesday's show. Tomorrow he's headed to the Rose Bowl. Let's hope Alabama wins this thing because we want them in a good mood. Otherwise, it could be really bad on Tuesday. And we'll be back with another Bolt City podcast Tuesday. Don't forget that if you watch this on YouTube and you leave comments, please feel free to tell us what your thoughts on the game were. This is a little bit more of a looser of a show, but if you're feeling the Chargers going in 2024, we want to hear from you on what you guys think is the best way to fix it. And if you listen to the Bolt City podcast, the Odyssey app, thank you so much. So, Mario, wish you nothing but the best tonight. Be safe, and we'll talk to you in a couple days. So, for Mario Heron, I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you on Tuesday.
See you in the new year.